Hi, and welcome to the Spooky Hours. My name's David Saunderson, and today we're talking to Beth Darlington from Access Paranormal. How are you, Beth?
I'm good, David. How are you?
I'm very, very good. Now, today we're going to be talking about paranormal reality shows, the good and the bad. Beth, are there good shows? Are there bad shows? We all have our
Well,
favourites. We all have our rubbish ones. What do you think makes a good paranormal reality TV show?
well, I think there's some good points with having paranormal reality TV shows. Obviously, there was a massive insurgence of interest, 10, 15 years ago. And that was actually one of the reasons why I actually found that you could be a lot more active when it came to paranormal investigating. So I think there's a couple of good points about them and not so great points about them.
Okay, well, let's start with number one. It does raise an interest in the field, doesn't it? I mean, people who don't know about it, and I imagine for all the complaints that's been made over the years, the people making complaints about them are only in paranormal because they saw the TV show.
That's one of, I guess you could say, good or bad. One of the good points is the fact that it does give people an idea that the fact that they can actually be involved with paranormal investigations and find their own truth and look at different ways if there is a possible afterlife. So a lot of people do start that journey, like I said, with myself as well. Yeah, but there's also the bad side to that too.
Well, we'll get to that in a sec. So what was the first show you saw? What was the first paranormal show can you remember?
Yes, I do very well. I annoyed my flatmates when I was living here 10, 12 years ago with Most Haunted.
Of
That's
course it
right.
was.
Yes, of
Yes.
course. And I loved it because I loved English history and I loved the fact that you could go out and do this because in Australia where I'd moved from, there was nothing like that around. I didn't even think you could do this kind of thing or be involved in a public area like that and get involved. So it was amazing. I couldn't take my eyes off it. Now, very different story.
And I think it also influences the way we look at paranormal groups. So you see memes every now and then, and the way that people dress, the way they act on these paranormal TV shows, and the way that people act in their amateur paranormal investigations now do look like those kind of crews of those, the 2000s, don't they? So it had a really, really big influence on there. They also showcase good people, though, don't they?
They do, they do. There's that's another good part of paranormal reality TV shows is that there actually are good people out there that do get exposure through these particular programs. One of, I would say, for instance, Ben Hansen, a lovely gentleman, very intelligent, ex-FBI, really interested in ufology and is a genuine individual and really likes investigating possible paranormal phenomena in all different angles, not just with ufology, but also haunted cases. And Fact or Fate has been a great platform for him to get that notoriety, to get that exposure so he can actually, be able to present his ideas and his investigation techniques, which are fabulous. And again, that's because of paranormal reality TV shows, you're able to have access or know of these particular people.
But also, I mean, some of the things they do, and I'm not talking a lot of good people on there, but there's a few rubbishy ones as well that do some quite questionable, even just from a technical point of view. Well, how do you combat that? You've got the good people showing the good stuff, and then you've got some of the stuff that's going, where'd they get that from? How did that happen? What do you
Yeah,
think of that kind of thing?
I think it starts to become more about the production and the entertainment quality. Although entertaining is great,
Yeah.
the reasons why they're trying to make it entertaining are just so far fetched. Some of the techniques that they may use are just not what you would do in a proper paranormal investigation. And again, people are interested for different reasons. They want to thrill seek. That's fine. But if you're going to look at investigating someone's home of possible paranormal phenomena, I really would not recommend what you see on those programs because their techniques are not founded. They're there a lot of the time. They'll say their equipment's there to detect the possibility of a spirit. That's a big thing because that's a big draw card for entertainment. But we don't know what a spirit is made up of. What we can do, though, is use some types of equipment to detect the environmental changes to see whether or not something like that is happening, and that's where that can work in a good way.
I suppose the whole reality TV shows in a sense isn't realistic anyway, because we all know from doing paranormal investigations that you're not going to walk in every place and get a something at all. Whereas these shows go from having a full-on poltergeist manifestation, demons, to even just rocks being thrown, or whatever it might be. I just find they're fun, but unless they've been filming, 4,000 hours worth of television. I don't know how they get that sometimes. Well, what do you think? What do you think about the general idea that you can't really have reality paranormal TV shows?
Definitely keeping in mind it is for entertainment, but also
Yeah,
knowing, as you just mentioned, it's unrealistic to have Amityville Horror House for 4 hours consistently over an evening, and that's 4 hours of an investigation. A proper investigation needs to be multiple times over a long period of time if you're doing it from a serious perspective. But even just from a fun perspective, you're not going to get as much information or ideas about a particular location of its possible haunted activity just from a couple of hours. And of course, these people are often in a location they've invested, they feel maybe over a day or two. I know Paranormal Lockdown did it over, I think, 3 days, I think it was, and they were locked into a particular place. But even then, there was always something happening every night. And it just makes you, and it gives that false impression. That's actually what happens when you go to these locations and you buy a ticket and you're with a group, that you're going to almost be guaranteed to have an experience. And that's absolutely not the case, nor it's extremely rare to have anything possibly paranormal occur to you and or somebody else in the group that you're with. So that's another about paranormal reality TV shows, where it just gives this impression that it's activity all the time. And I've got dear friends that run paranormal entertainment events, and that's one of the biggest things they come up against, is that people say, oh, am I going to experience something? It's like, well, we can't guarantee that. Oh, why not? I bought a ticket. It's like, that's something we can't control. Oh, well, why am I, it's almost like, why am I here? It's like, it's not like it is in the TV show. So that is probably a bit of a downer when it comes to these particular programs.
and I suppose, yeah, they're not guaranteeing that something's going to happen, but the setting is going to be right. That if something was going to happen, it's likely to happen here. That's probably the best you can happen, isn't it? You're not at Sainsbury's on a Saturday morning. You're in a haunted castle in the north of Scotland or something like that. You're in a heightened area of spookiness.
Absolutely, that's it.
Yeah, we were talking about before about showing ineffective techniques. There's lots of good things we could learn from reality shows. What do you think the things that you've learned from paranormal shows over the years?
Good things I've found is that I've learnt, although some of the techniques and majority of the techniques they use can be questionable. I mean, there are some particular programs like Ghost Adventures that have a lot of money behind them. They're able to have an inventor that can create certain devices. Again, how and why and the reasons they're based is detecting a ghost. Again, I'm not sure of that, but it's something different. It's like, okay, they're trying something different. They're using a static detector, and a lot of people, when they feel they're having a paranormal experience, will feel this static, the goosebumps, and then their hairs on the back, is that type of static that you have from the old TVs where you used to rub your hand and you get the same effect. Like, is that's what's happening? Let's create equipment that can detect that in an environment to see if it can correlate with what you're feeling at the time. So obviously they've got a lot of money behind them. They can create their own equipment. So I sometimes think that could be really interesting to see it from that perspective. Whether it's a ghost or not, we just don't know.
What about some of what's been when I say most fun, the one that you've thought, what am I watching here? This is just complete and utterly silly.
Oh, I think there was one where it was trapping a ghost in a box because it had mirrors.
What's it, Ghostbusters? We're not talking that, was it? We didn't have the.
I would love to cross the beams any day. I'd love to try it with one of those. That would be
So
fantastic.
they caught a ghost, did they?
Well, they were trying to with a box, and that had mirrors in it, and that's a quite an old. Oh, it comes from an old tradition where mirrors can be doorways. So if you have a box with mirrors in it, you're trapping it because it gets confused and can't go out. But then there's the other stream of thought where spirits can pass through walls and go to all different building parts of a building. So why would it be trapped in a box? Like, it really just depends what you want to look at it as. But I remember seeing that, and you're trying to trap it, and I'm thinking, is it based on Ghostbusters? But at least there was a little bit of crossing the beams going on there. I felt just how would you know? Like, what guarantee would you have? And that would be my line of thought.
I think if you found, like, you got 8 ghost hunters or 10 ghost hunters in a room, they would all have a different idea of how to do something. And I think there's lots of contradictions in paranormal investigation. What you've just said then about, the mirrors are the doorways, or, you could trap and all that, but yet they could walk through. So it's just generally what your beliefs are, what I suppose that's the only possible way. But I think ultimately we say they're entertaining. We all watch them, so we can't be too, critical of them all. I tend to enjoy the ones that are more historically based. I've never really been entertained by watching people wandering around a room in the sort of the green black. I just I, I don't necessarily find that entertaining because I find it hard to watch. I like when they find something and it's interesting, but I do find there's a lot of guff within some of these shows where you're watching, hours and hours of people going, whoa, 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 like that kind of stuff. And I don't find it. So that's why I find something like, what was it, the one with Michaela Strachan, was it Great British Ghosts? That's not really a reality show. That's just essentially a documentary show where they go to different haunted houses and talk to the people that live there or in the castles or in the different jails and stuff like that and just say, so what's going on? I actually find that quite interesting. But at the end of the day, we've got lots and lots, and there's so many of them now. I look on Amazon Prime and there's just dozens and dozens of shows. You're not talking Most Haunted anymore. You're talking just lots and lots of paranormal crews have got their own shows now.
Absolutely. Just look on YouTube as well. Same thing. It's incredible.
Well, YouTube's good though. You want to subscribe to this channel. That's this is real reality. So as opposed to fake reality. So anyway, thanks for that, Beth. So we're agreeing that reality TV shows paranormally are great, but maybe not take them too seriously at times.
Absolutely, 100%. Yeah.
Right, cool. Anyway, you take care, and we'll talk to you next time.
Thank you.